Greetings, it's Compiler and welcome to the Introduction to Blender for the Game Developer series. In this video we will have a look at how we can export a model to Unity and add our baked textures from the Blender. So let's get started. Alright, so we have those two models of containers, actually one model with one with generated texture, one with baked ones. If you want to know how we baked those textures previously, you can follow through the previous videos. I will post a link in the description. So basically we have those baked textures for all the properties that we would need, and now we can just simply export this model to Unity Game Engine. So basically, how can we do that? It is pretty simple. Of course, I will just delete one of the models. I won't need that anymore. And the second thing that is really important is to set the pivot of your model to 0. Okay, it's kind of important. So the location should be at 0. Yeah, the pivot of the model should be at 0.000. Rotation should be always 0, and the scale should be 1. Yeah, if you don't have that, you can only just change the scale. You want it to be like that, you can just go to here, the object, apply, and just apply everything that you have. Apply location so that the object will be location at 0, rotation, scale, etc, etc. Yeah, in order to save that. The next thing is simply to select an object, go to File, Export, FBX, and that's it. Okay, you have of course to select where you want to export that, change its name, and the important thing here is to click, check this box of selected objects. Okay, if you don't check that, you will get everything on your scene exported. Okay, it may be what you want, it may be not, depending on what you need, but I just always, if I export a new model, only one, I just always select selected objects. Okay, I prefer to select everything that I want than to let Blender decide what it wants to export. Okay, so only selected objects. And the next important thing here, of course, you can check what you want to export. In our case, it's only mesh, so it basically doesn't really matter. What is important over here is in transform to enable apply transform checkbox. Okay, if you export it to Unity. Why? Because in Unity by default, if you don't apply that, Blender models of FBXs in Unity get the scale of 100. Okay, you may still work with that, it's pretty fine, but in most cases it is recommended to use scale of 1. Okay, it's kind of better, it's easier to manage, etc. So basically, if you don't click this apply transform button, you will get a scale of 100. If you do, it will be transferred to scale of 1, okay, to the Unity. But the problem is here that this function is experimental. Okay, you will get some problems, as it says here, with animations and armatures. In this case, we don't use neither of them. Yeah, we have only a model or only a mesh, so basically this is of no problem to us. Okay, so I just select that, apply transform, selected objects, and set where I want to save them. Okay, and I just simply click export FBX, and it should already be done. Okay, if I will go to this location on my drive, I will get it somewhere here. Okay, container FBX is the one that we have exported. So basically I can just now go to the Unity and drag in the container FBX file. Okay, so what do we have here in this container file? I can open it up, and what we can see is actually our container. Yeah, so it's already in Blender. I can just drag it to our scene, reset it for it to be in the middle, and we have something like this. Okay, there is still of course no material, we will change that in a minute, but the import is done. So basically what is left for us to do is either to add material exactly to this object, or we can add it to this prefab, to this imported model, for it to be applied to everywhere. Okay, for now, as you can see, if we go to the last tab, materials, in our imported model, we won't see any material added here. So basically, let's create one. Create material. Okay, container material, or depending on convention, you may want to not name it M container. It's up to you. So basically, then we can import the textures. Okay, it is important to change normal here from default to normal map. Apply. Okay, and now in this M container material, the color goes to albedo, metallic goes to metallic, and normal goes to normal. Okay. The most important thing to notice here is that Unity, depending on the render pipeline, will use different materials. Okay, you may of course create your own one, and it will be working pretty fine. But in the default one, as you can see here, we have albedo texture, metallic texture for metallicness, and we have smoothness, which is actually roughness, yeah, in Blender. But here we have smoothness, and as you can see, we either have a slider to control that, or we have the source where we want to import that, either from metallic alpha or from albedo alpha. Okay, we don't have possibilities to import our own roughness map. Okay, here we can only select as an alpha channel from a metallic texture of albedo texture. Okay, so basically, if you want to add the roughness texture, you will have to play around somewhere, for instance in Photoshop, to paste this black and white texture of roughness inside of the metallic alpha channel. Okay, in case this is actually the standard 3D project and standard 3D pipeline, if you use URP, it may differ. If you use HDRP, it differs even more. Okay, because in HDRP, for instance, you don't have the division between metallicness, roughness, etc. You will get one texture, one mask map for everything, and you have to paste those different maps in different channels, color channels of your image. Okay, so it's still some work to do in the Photoshop. Okay, there are of course lots of different generators in the asset store, so you can try to use that in order to create your maps. Okay, but in this case we have the albedo, metallicness, and normal map. Okay, out of there, they're pretty fine. If we'll go back to the container model, we can just drag in this container material here, click apply, and this is it. Yeah, all the instances of this object will be converted to this material, which is the default one. Okay, so what we have here, as you can see, the closer we are, of course, we have different problems because of the resolution of our textures, but still, this model looks pretty nice. I pretty much like that. Okay, how it looks like right now. Of course, depending on the, once again, the render pipeline, it may look a bit different. Of course, if you bake the lightning, it will look even better. But by default, just by exporting from the Unity and having those textures applied, it still looks pretty much amazing. So, if you found this video interesting or any helpful, give a like, post a comment, and of course subscribe. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.